Today we're making an espresso flan. So first we need to get our espresso made here. Once we have our espresso, we want to start our caramel sauce. So we're going to do half or 1 cup of sugar, and then we're going to do a 1/4 cup of water. And we're going to slowly cook this until it comes to an amber color. And you could always go a little darker depending on how bitter you want your caramel sauce and everything to be. Another thing you could also do is you could also, if you have some espresso powder, like the instant espresso, you could always add that to this mixture as well if you want to get a little bit more of that espresso flavor into your flan. You want to bring it up to a simmer. You don't want to make it too hot too quick because it will turn into candy on you. So, just low and slow, just a nice little simmer here until it starts turning that amber color. Here it's starting to look pretty good. You definitely want to keep an eye on it because you could go from amber to burnt within seconds if you're not careful with it. And I have some ramekins ready with a little bit of butter spray in it. You could also smear some regular butter, whatever you want to use there, just to kind of help it from sticking. And once it's ready, you want to pour it into those ramekins right away. That way it doesn't harden on you. We're going to go ahead and pour a little bit into each ramekin. Kind of just split it up between all of them. I'm not showing them all within the picture, but I have 4 right now. This recipe would normally be for about 6. Now we're going to go ahead and start our flan mix. Oh, I have 4 whole eggs and then 1 yolk. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of real vanilla. And then I'm going to be adding 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. I'm not going to be adding any sugar. The sweetened condensed milk is going to add quite a bit of sweetness on its own. Yeah, when I was making those little mini flans for the little 8 bite or egg bite maker, I decided I kind of wanted to make some real ones and, actual dessert size. And of course, I'm not following the recipe that was in that original book. Next, I want to get this whisked up. And with that sweetened condensed milk, it's super thick, so it's definitely going to take a little bit to get it mixed. It'll thin out as you add the hot milk and also the espresso. All right, once I have this nice and mixed, I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of espresso. And since my espresso is still really hot, I'm going to whisk it in slowly, kind of temper it into the eggs. With that sweetened condensed milk, it's a little less likely for it to curdle and kind of scramble, but I still like to be safe. And this will help thin it out a little bit. At the same time, I have 1 cup of milk heating up on the stove, getting it nice and steamy. Definitely smelling pretty good here. If you don't have you don't have an espresso machine, you could always use that instant espresso powder. Now we want to go ahead and add our milk. I'm still going to go a little slow at first. Next, I want to go ahead and get the mixtures into the ramekins. So like I said, this mixture is good for 6 of them, but I only have 4. I'm going to throw a couple in a couple mason jars. Looks like my caramel got a little hard in one of them. Hopefully with the cooking process, it will kind of melt it. It should anyway. You don't want to fill them completely up, but about 3/4 of the way. Next, we want to cover each one with foil. That way it keeps the moisture out when you're steaming it. or pressure cooking, I should say. Now you want to layer them all into the Instant Pot. I got to figure out how I want to do this since they don't really fit perfectly in here. Not quite the best size that I'm trying to work with. And that's definitely not going to work. Figure something out here. Well, once you figure out how you want to put the lid on, and then we're going to pressure cook it for 10 minutes, let the natural release for 10 minutes, and then we're going to put them in the fridge and 4 hours to overnight. So I let them sit out overnight. We're going to go ahead and unwrap one of them here. Now, I did try one of them last night as it chilled down a little bit. You could definitely taste the espresso, but it's not super strong. So I think the next time I would do it, I would add a little bit more espresso. I may even use some of the instant espresso and add some of that powder into maybe even the milk itself, just to give a bit of a stronger espresso flavor to it. And there we go. There's my version of the espresso flan. If you don't want the espresso, just leave it out. You don't always have to add that in. It tastes good without it, but it is really good with the espresso as well. Let's go ahead and cut it open here. I need to grab me a spoon here real quick. The texture of this one turned out really good. I'm gonna go ahead and try a bite now that it's actually chilled down a bit more. Yeah, I mean, I can taste the espresso just a little bit more since it's set in there overnight, but it definitely needs a little bit more. But anyway, thank you for stopping by. Subscribe, like, comment below.